the agendas.
Tonight, it will be available for your utilization tomorrow or in the very near future. So again, please accept our apology for the lack of additional information prior to convening the meeting.
Okay, Mark, I'm back. I'm ready.
All right. We'll call the Osceola Township Water Board meeting to order. Would you kindly note the time and take attendance, please?
6:06. You're gonna have to, can you shut that off?
Sorry.
Okay. Mr. Wareham?
Here.
Ms. Gardner?
Here, there is a major echo coming from your end, Tracy.
We're gonna fix it.
Hold on. Mr. Jenke?
Here.
Are you ready, Tracy?
Mr. Hulkala?
Please count me present. Thank you.
Okay, myself, I'm here. Tina?
How do I get off of this?
Okay, go ahead.
Are we ready to proceed?
Yes.
The next item on our agenda for the Water Board is approval of the agenda for this evening's meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
No motion, this is Tracy.
Thank you. Is there support to Tracy's motion?
I'll
Second.
support.
Multiple supports? Any additions or suggested deletions to the agenda as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from the December 9th, 2020 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved, Don.
Mr. Wareham moves. Is there support?
I'll support Tracy.
Thank you very much. Tracy supported. Any corrections, deletions, additions to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to accept the minutes for the December 9th, 2020 meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on our agenda are the financial reports. In your packet, you will find the profit and loss report, budget versus actual, the balance sheet, check detail, and deposit detail. I trust everyone has had a moment or two to look these over. Does anyone have a question, comment about any of the reports?
Is there some major expenses coming up for the water system that I'm not aware of?
I just paid a bunch of bills to, this past month here, just yesterday or the day before, to, Web and Construction
What was that one for?
for the pit meter, for a water line for, on Airport Road, and then for something on M26. Other than that, that was about it that I can recall right now.
That was A&L Fabricating on M26, their water line.
Oh, thank you.
This is Mark. May I draw your attention to line 829 under expenses, Superior National Bank bond principal. There has not been a payment made yet. I'm assuming that is a late winter, early spring payment.
I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure when that's due. They usually send a reminder.
Yep. The reason I'm bringing that up is that our income above expenses is in the almost $48,000 range, and that payment is about $43,000. And that may, to some part at least, explain the significant difference between revenue and expenses year to date.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I was going with this. I'm seeing, you know, not quite $100,000, but there's a pretty significant, there's over $100,000 actually between expenses and revenue expected for the budget. And I'm just wondering, you know, I mean, you have $43,000 on there, and you know, I'm just wondering if there was something I'm missing, or we just had a light year, or what's going on here, because there obviously is some things that we need to do, and we were talking about raising rates, but if we're not going to approach our budget, then maybe the rate is something we need to worry about. That's where this is going.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to recommend the reports up to the full board?
I'll make that motion. It's Krista.
We have a motion from Ms. Gardner to send the reports forward as recommended. Is there support?
I'll second it, Aaron.
Mr. Janke, is there any additional question, comment, or issue relative to the financial reports? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to make the recommendation to the board to approve the financial reports for the month of December for the Osceola Township Water Board, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The financial reports are recommended to the board. Next item on the agenda, payment of bills. It may not be that everyone has had an opportunity to look through the folder prior to tonight's remote meeting. As a consequence, I'm asking that the board look at the checklist previously identified, and I'm asking Tracy and/or Krista if it matches bills paid closely or identically.
It's right on.
Does anyone have any questions about the bills that were paid on behalf of the water system? Hearing none, do I have a motion to recommend approval of the bills being paid to the full board?
I'll motion. It's Tracy.
Thank you, Ms. Houle. Is there support?
I'll second, Don.
Mr. Wareham supported. Additional questions, comments, concerns relative to the motion to recommend approval of the bills paid to the full board? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Allow up to 3 minutes per individual to bring any comment forward for the water board's consideration. Is anyone interested at this time in offering public input to the water board? Hearing none, please note the time. We will provide an opportunity before adjournment should someone think of a question or wish to raise an issue for the water board's consideration. Moving on, next item, reports. Water operators report. There should be reports in your packet. Is Mr. Matt Folk present?
He is not.
Thank you. You should find in your packet to two different reports. Monthly well pumpage report, followed by an annualized report. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns about the two reports submitted by the water system operator?
I can, I don't know, I don't see it in here, but I can add on a couple things here. Just wanted to bring up that we did have a meeting down at the pump house concerning some of the controls and looking at general project possibilities down at the pump house concerning upgrade to the pumps, etc. And it's not a done deal, but I just thought I'd let people know it was out there. And we had Mohawk Technologies, who is a controls guy, look at our existing broken parts, and he's going to give us some recommendations. I don't know if you've seen anything from that, Mark. Has anything showed up at all in terms of that?
That I can recall, I didn't see anything in my in basket, but I've only had a couple of brief conversations with Bob this week, so
Yeah.
it may be in the works.
Okay, so that's an upcoming item for review, and possibly a later conversation for the board. And also, I did take a look at the request for a overhead beam in the storage building for Bob. So we did have somebody, I did look at that, and I'll have somebody, I have George at the office there trying to work us up something real quick, just on our own. So couple things to add to some stuff that was going on down at the pump house and stuff.
Any questions of Mr. Janke on either of the two issues he brought to our attention? Thanks, Aaron. Anybody else have anything to add or to offer? Next report in your packet is the Secretary's report. Questions, comments? Any concerns? Hearing none, we'll move on. Next item on our agenda under unfinished business is the Drinking Water Asset Management Grant status of. I'm assuming that Mr. Konskanimi and others perhaps from UP Engineering on our full board agenda will provide additional information relative to this grant application. I will simply state at this moment that the application was submitted well prior to the deadline, and we did receive back at the township office a receipt from Eagle that it had arrived and they would contact us as needed going forward. So the application was completed, submitted before the deadline, and has been received with receipt in hand for the township. Anybody have any questions, or if you do, might I suggest that we hold them until UP Engineering's report during our regular meeting where more detail could be provided. One footnote, it's my understanding that we'll learn of our success in about 2 months to perhaps 2.5 months. New business is the next item on the agenda. It is a quick update on where we are with fiscal 2021 budget amendments. They are a work in progress right now. The process has been a little slower than anticipated. Tracy and Krista have been working hard to get financials updated to bring into the mix. It is my hope that we will have for our February meeting full amended budget proposals for all township budgets for our review. At that time, to include both water systems under our overall township water system. Just footnote on that comment, the Tamarack City amended budget is just about done, but I have just started the work on the Osceola portion of the amended budget, and it will be several more days before I complete that. I apologize for the delay, but it is on the agenda for both our water board meeting, and it will be available for comment and approval at recommendation at that time, and then ultimately approval with any applicable amendments at our February 10th meeting. Anyone have any questions of me as to status? Let me add one addition here. Part of the delay relative to Osceola Township is work underway to re-execute the land lease with MDOT relative to the right-of-way on the railroad grade between Dollar Bay and Mason for the water main. We had a conference call on that, UPEA Engineering, the township, and MDOT Tuesday morning, and I'm sure that will be one of the highlights of Mr. Koskanimi's report to the board at that meeting. But we have an outstanding liability of $10,000. We have received the invoice from MDOT, but we have not received a duplicate original proposed lease agreement. The two are intertwined, and we're waiting for the email to arrive relative to the agreement. But it appears at this moment we have an outstanding 5-figure liability relative to our rent lease agreement with MDOT. That's all I have under new business. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to add relative to the water board meeting before I once more ask for public comment and then adjournment? Hearing none, there is a second opportunity for people participating with our meeting to offer public comment. Is anyone interested in bringing something to the water board's attention, raising a question, or commenting generally on the water system's operation? The floor is yours for up to 3 minutes.
Mark?
Yes.
Hi, this is Kristen. I have a comment.
Yes, Kristen.
Okay, it's a comment request, but it's a request to see if in the intermission between the two meetings, if it might be possible to scan the rest of the materials so that those attending the meeting could be able to review those along with the meeting. If that's possible, and Tracy could send that to me again, I can forward it along to Horst and anybody else. But that's a request that would be appreciated so that we have the materials at the meeting. Thank you.
We're working on it right now.
Okay, thanks, Tracy.
Yep.
Thank you for the question, and Tracy, thank you for the update. Are there any other comments under public comment? Hearing none, please note the time. Anything else to come before the water board? If not, a motion to adjourn is in order.
Motion to adjourn, Don.
Have a motion from Mr. Wareham to adjourn. Is there support?
I'll support Tracy.
Ms. Houle supports. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please indicate by saying aye.
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 We stand adjourned. We'll reconvene in 5 minutes for the township board meeting. Thank you, everyone. Full board to order. Ms. Houle, if you could take the roll, please.
Mr. Wareham,
Here.
Ms. Gardner,
Here.
Banky,
Here.
Mr. Osceola.
Yes.
I'm here. Okay.
Thank you very much. The First item on our proposed agenda after attendance is the Pledge of Allegiance. Tracy, may I impose upon you to stand, face the flag, and lead us in the pledge?
I will.
Others, please stand if able.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, the
United States of America,
Republic for which it stands,
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item past the pledge is approval of the agenda for this evening's meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll motion, Tracy.
Ms. Hool moves. Is there support?
I'll support it, Don.
Wareham supports. Are there any proposed additions to the agenda?
Are we gonna talk about that fire stuff, or is that you just want to do that under the report, or is that, I'm trying to see if I see it, but I don't.
Material relative to the issue you're speaking about, the fire department?
Look, never mind, I see it. It doesn't say fire department.
Yep. I believe, we'll address that issue during the Dollar Bay Fire Department.
That's fine. If we want to do it during the report phase, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anything else relative to the agenda? Hearing nothing, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The agenda is approved. Next item is approval of the board meeting minutes from our December 9th, 2020 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Excuse me, the minutes as presented.
Move, Aaron.
Mr. Janke moves that the minutes be approved as presented. Is there support?
I'll support it, Don.
Mr. Wareham supports. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes from our December 9th, 2020 meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item, financial reports. You have profit and loss, budget versus actual, balance sheets, check detail, and deposit detail where applicable for the township, road fund, Mason Wastewater Fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water. Are there any questions, comments, concerns about any of the financial reports presented this evening? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the reports as presented for General Township, Road Fund, Mason Wastewater Fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water?
I'll motion, Tracy.
Ms. Hool moves. Is there support?
I'll support it, Don.
Mr. Wareham supports. Is there any additional discussion on the motion to accept the financial reports? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to accept the financial reports for General Township, Road Fund, Mason Wastewater Fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Financial reports are accepted. Next item, approval of payment of bills from the General Fund, Road Fund, Mason Fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water. Do I have a motion to approve the bills for payment?
Move, Aaron.
Mr. Janke, is there a support for the motion?
I'll support, Tracy.
I missed that, I'm sorry.
Is that you, Krista?
I did.
Okay, all right.
Ms. Gardner? Any further discussion on approval of the bills for payment? The General Fund, Road Fund, Mason Fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water Funds. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public comment. Opportunity for people participating with our meeting to comment for up to 3 minutes at this time. Please indicate who you are when you begin and the clock will start running. If you choose not to comment at this time, but would like to comment before we adjourn the meeting, a second opportunity for public comment will be provided before the meeting is adjourned. Is anyone interested in offering public comment at this time to the Township Board? Hearing none at this time, please note the time if you would, Ms. Houle.
Okay.
Next item on our agenda, the reports from the various township departments. There is an assessor report as a handout. It also includes a great deal of information about the Board of Review. I will be highlighting Board of Review activities under new business later on in the agenda. That material is identified with the assessor's report to keep all of the Board of Review assessor material in one place. There is a handout for maintenance. There is a handout, a pair of them for Dollar Bay Fire Department. Mr. Janke, you had an item to raise at this time under Dollar Bay Fire Department report.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's the motion here. We have to do, it's our duty to appoint the fire chief based on the recommendation of the fire fighting members. I know there was some issues with the timing on this, so at this time, I guess, you know, with Ron stepping down, and you can see that that's included as a part of the, with Brad's report here, that I guess we need to, I guess I can make the motion that we, that the board appoints Brad Banfield as the new chief of the Dollar Bay, was it Precinct 1 Fire Department?
Two.
Precinct 2, sorry, Precinct 2. And that also there's an issue with that I want to check on and make sure that we can make that retroactive to the 12/16/20 date of the time that he was elected by the firefighters and when Ron actually stepped down, because there's an importance to that date. So we need to try to do that if we can. And I guess my motion is for the appointment, and then we need to mark to either I guess I'll entertain some conversation on this, but I'm looking for Mark to check into that and make sure that that's a kosher thing for us to do. I mean, we pay the bills after, so why can't we appoint somebody after, I guess, after it's actually done? So I guess my motion is to appoint Brad as the chief and then to have Mark check into the date portion of this.
I'll second your motion, Aaron. It's Don.
We have a motion by Mr. Janke to, if I may, accept the resignation of Mr. Kokkonen as fire chief and appoint Brad Banfield as the new fire chief. Am I summing up the motion correctly, Mr. Janke?
Sounds wonderful, Mark.
And Mr. Wareham supported that, and then also indicated in the motion is a check as to the appropriateness of a retroactive appointment to Mr. Banfield with an ideal effective date of 12/16/20. Is that correct?
Can't we make that retroactive to 12/20 part of the motion?
I'm assuming that's what it is, that it's a two-part motion, if I may. One is to accept the resignation, appoint Mr. Banfield, and then to seek an opinion as to the appropriateness of making the appointment retroactive to mid-December, to the date where the fire department sent forward the date of Mr. Kokanen's resignation. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, basically, if you don't come up with anything that doesn't present the problem, I'm fine with going with that date, I guess.
We have a motion and support. Are there questions? Does everybody understand the intent that we're accepting the resignation, appointing a new fire chief as of mid-December? I believe the date is the 16th. And then seeking an opinion as to whether or not making that date the date of appointment, even though we're voting it on the 13th, retroactive back to that date.
Yes,
Everybody understand that?
yes.
And if I may, just a footnote, if it is not appropriate, then the date of this vote is the date of record for appointment if we cannot move retroactively. Is that correct?
That's what I'm going for. Yep.
Okay. Does everybody understand Mr. Jenke's motion and Mr. Wareham's support for that motion?
Yes.
Any other questions about the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And my apologies to you, I did not restate the motion. Mr. Jenke, anything else? Hello?
I think that's all I had right now for fire business.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, in your packet, there's a Dollar Bay First Responders handout, Tamarack City Fire Department handout, Tamarack City Utility Board, which is the water board, Torch Lake Sewer. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns about any of those reports? Supervisor's report. We'll begin as follows. I think given that I raised the subject of Board of Review, if you don't mind, I'll address it briefly under my report. The Board of Review met on the 17th of December, addressed the petitions before it. All of the material, including draft minutes, have been forwarded as required. As the meeting concluded, it was noted that Mr. David Torrey, who has chaired the Board of Review for some period of time, would be submitting his resignation. That resignation has been received by the township, effective immediately. We have a notice that we have prepared with a January 27th due date for applicants for the Board of Review. With the board's understanding and permission, we will contact people that had applied previously. We did have a vacancy in the very recent past, and see if they are interested in being considered at our next regularly scheduled meeting. We anticipate having applicants submit either email, by walk-in message, or regular mail applications by close of business on the 27th, which is 2 weeks from today. We have had one applicant, currently an alternate, already forward correspondence indicating a desire for the appointment to the regular board. So we working on filling the vacancy. The board will have that on its agenda for its February 10th meeting. So all the reports are in, all of the issues have been addressed. One footnote, for some reason on a personal level, I inadvertently left part of the petition number off, and was grateful that a review of the draft minutes, Dave Caspery caught it, so we immediately corrected my error and now have the minutes in draft form posted and in our books in the appropriate manner. Much time has been spent on the ice rink. At our last board meeting, we decided to go forward with an old-fashioned rink. I probably had anywhere from 6 to 10 calls about the ice rink, all of them supportive of what we are attempting to do, and every one of them understanding that without the weather turning more winter-like, an ice rink is not at all possible under current conditions. I've had at least 2 different conversations with Tom Jetta in the last week and a half to 2 weeks, and we're planning on talking again early next week. It's my understanding that the forecast is finally going to change to more, shall we say, seasonable weather over the weekend and into next week. So we're hopeful that we can still do something between now and the emergence of spring. There was a county road commission meeting on the 11th relative to their 5-year plan. I attended the latter part of the meeting. Trying to get into the meeting proved rather difficult at the outset. I'm not sure if I was dialing the right number and what have you, but I do have a copy of the 5-year plan at the office. If people are interested in getting a look at it, it'll be my pleasure to send a copy out to you. It's just a couple of pages. With regards to ordinance activity, I had hoped to spend more time than I did on work I'd started weeks and even months ago relative to ordinances, but it was a rather unusual holiday period relative to ordinance calls. I received anywhere from 10 to a dozen calls over about a 2.5 week period, mostly about snow and its removal or placement. I had calls ranging from, well, the first one was somebody at the county level is plowing all of their snow into my yard. What do I do about it? And I indicated call the road commission, which apparently they did. I did not receive any additional calls, but we have parking issues in Dollar Bay that conceivably will happen in Tamarack City. We have people moving snow onto private property. We have mounds appearing in driveways where they should not. They're being moved from some distance down sidewalks and parked in a garage driveway. The people that own the garage called me a few days ago indicating that they were back from a lengthy holiday before they head on out for warmer climates, and indicated they had difficulty getting into their garage. I have now received the name of the person who has apparently been doing the plowing and will be following up on that before week's end. So it's been a fairly busy week, or excuse me, few weeks relative to ordinances, almost all of them dealing with snow, with one exception, and that is a series of calls and photographs again about people burning in burn barrels, not during the daylight, but apparently well before sunup in the morning. And I got a text message on that one as I was leaving home about 6:40 this morning. Did drive into Dollar Bay right away to see if indeed I could spot anything, and I did not. Apparently it was a short-lived fire, but I have the address and we'll be following up on that again before the weekend. So I'm still working on things that have been outstanding, but I have spent an enormous amount of time on ordinances, particularly around parking and snow removal over the last few weeks. I have been in close concert with Ray Sadio at the Road Commission, where they have jurisdiction and or issues involving their right-of-way come into play. We indicated we would talk again as soon as there was snow sufficient enough to be removed by the Road Commission. Again, counting on the forecast that we have snow coming for next week. I've also talked with Leon Sutherland at the Lake Linden High School about use of our ball field again. I indicated to him that in all likelihood the board would approve using the field, but there are some upgrades and maintenance issues that we need to discuss. He was amenable to a meeting on that issue, and I indicated to him that we would like to see work done on the infield. We have bleachers that need to be put up. I did indicate to him that a number of residents have been using the field for a dog run, and it may need a significant policing before any type of practice or game could begin. He assured me that they would be of whatever assistance they could be, and indicated he would call me about 6 weeks before their proposed season, assuming the board is amenable to them using the field this spring. So it was far busier than I had anticipated being. I mentioned already the drinking water asset management grant that went in. A lot of work has gone into the issue that I think Jim Koskanimi will address in greater detail around the right-of-way and the water main to Mason. We had dates and some ideas as to when the original agreement we thought had been entered into. A footnote, neither we nor UP Engineering at the local level have a signed copy of the rental agreement, nor does MDOT. But I have a far keener understanding and appreciation for township records and our files in the attic, because I've been moving boxes back and forth, looking at bank statements, minutes, old audits. Tracy found some material about this in her desk where dates were identified. It does appear that we approved the rental agreement and the payment of the $10,000 almost 18 years ago, 17 and a half years ago, but we did not apparently act on it nor execute the agreement and forward it. At least to this date, no one has found confirmation of payment or a signed document, but we continue to look. And as I did indicate during the water board meeting, we have received an invoice for the $10,000 that will carry our lease through May, early May of 2022, but we have not received the duplicate original lease agreement for execution by this board and signature. So I apologize for a somewhat long-winded supervisor's report. Does anyone have any questions of me relative to items discussed? Thank you. Hearing none, we move on to unfinished business. UP Engineering, Mr. Koskanimi, the floor is yours, sir. Hello?
This is Andy Karen. Yeah, hi. This is Andy.
I'm sorry,
Karen.
Andy.
Yeah, Jim is going to try to tune in. He's in another meeting right now. I will give him a text and see if he can join us and
Okay.
fill you in on the particulars.
Please proceed, Andy.
Okay. Well, for the Mason Sewer project, we have a final change order 5, to adjust the project cost to final. And we also have a resolution for payment. This will be should be a final contractor payment. We're not going to be closing the project out now because there's some monetary items that need to be held open, O&M, etc. That's going to be funded through the project. I just got a message from Jim. Jim will be on shortly, and I know he wants to talk to you about the MDOT rail issue as well. So I guess if you can just move forward in this meeting, and Jim can jump in here in a little bit, that would be great.
That'll be just fine, Andy. You and I talked about the lawnmower issue. You had an idea relative to us taking action on that this evening? Do you think that's
Well, with the
necessary?
project- Well, we need to definitely address it. It may not necessarily need to be completed in this meeting, but with the project essentially complete, it would be good to start moving toward finalizing that lawnmower question. There were some different models that were being considered, and if the township is ready to move ahead, I would urge them to move ahead so we can close that out.
Given Andy's comments, what's the board's pleasure? Would you like to address the lawnmower question tonight, or leave it on the table and address it at our February meeting, assuming that would probably be the last real good opportunity to get this thing wrapped up so we'll have a mower in place before spring? Should we leave it on the table and address it next month?
I'm leaning that way because I know Andy gave us the 2 quotes or whatever it was, and I'm having a problem finding them right now, so.
Not only that, I think there's more than just those 2 quotes now. There's some other options out there, and I don't see it anywhere. And
I'm not sure I'm aware of all those different options.
maybe I'm missing something, but I know I had talked with Andy about this, and maybe Andy, you can speak up if there's something I'm missing here. I don't see it here in the packet, and I was looking through an email. I don't see it in any of those, so
In deference to Andy, this was material that was distributed a few meetings ago. And it has a number of options. I'm looking at a face page that has 7 different options on it. But this was material we received in the fall of last year.
Yeah, and like I said, I just can't find that right now to say, okay, this is the one I want, or this is what we should get. So I'll move, we table it to next month.
Well, we were already on the table. Should we leave it there till next month, Mr. Wareham?
That would be my suggestion.
Is there concurrence with Mr. Wareham's suggestion? Everybody agree?
Yes.
Yes.
We'll leave the decision on the lawnmower tabled until our February meeting. Has Jim joined us yet?
No, it looks like it'll be a few more minutes. So if you can move on, and if you can join here in a few minutes, that'd be great.
That'll be just fine. We'll come back to UP Engineering then in a few minutes. Travis Engineering report, is Mr. Petal on or Mr. Sapina on?
They both are.
Okay.
I'm here, Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. John Paul, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'll make this brief. I had a brief conversation with Mark this morning regarding the process for the FEMA reimbursement for the 6th Street Storm Sewer project this summer to the state police. And in the process of putting that together, there was 2 invoices that were paid by the township. They were submitted to FEMA. The invoices for them were submitted to FEMA, and they never included them in the final grant award for the project. So I did talk with Tiffany Vetter today from the state police. I told her what the situation was. Apparently they had this happen in another community. So I have an email started. It'll be finished tomorrow, and I'll get it off to her with the information that I mentioned to her today. And she's going to forward that through to FEMA, see what they can do about possibly doing like an addition to that project. It's about $9,200. There's 2 different bills, 2 from Tony Burkar and 1 from Tunnel Vision. And so anyway, the amount's about $9,200. And so obviously it'd be nice to get reimbursed to the township. So I'll go through that process and we'll see, should have a report for the next month for sure. And prior to that, I'll let Mark know where it's at. But, and the reason so there's a P4 form, it's a final closeout form for these projects. And I do not want to send that in to close it out until we resolve this issue. So anyway, once we get that all set up, I can update you on that. I did send an email to you, Krista, and I did not expect a response today. I know you were busy. So
Yeah, I got the email. The bank was closed already by the time I read your email, so I'll take care of it in the morning.
That's fine, not a big deal. So that was, but then I think I copied you on them invoices, what they were, so.
Yep.
Yeah, we can get that. I would just like to include that, everything with her on that email so she can see what was paid and that it was actually paid. So that'd be perfect. Appreciate that.
Yep, no problem.
So that's about it, I guess, for right now. I can let you guys continue unless you got some other questions.
Well, one other issue, if I may, John Paul, the securing of a contractor to finish up the other existing FEMA projects, you're hopeful of that going out how soon?
Correct. I'm in the process of the permit right now, putting the permit in. So until we have that permit in hand, I don't want to bid anything out. So once that's, should have update on for the next month's meeting for you. If I get the permit prior to that, then we'll get a package together. But so I'll have an update next month for you on that.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have a question of John Paul? Thank you very much. Mr. Sapina, the floor is yours. Hello? Dick, are you there? Can everyone else hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He may have some difficulty with his connection. We'll allow him to join us when he reconnects. Make one more attempt. Dick, are you there? The issue he wanted to bring to our attention is in your packet. It is a letter he's asking us to take action on relative to looking at opportunities around our stormwater runoff and the Corps of Engineers. The letter in your packet is, I think, self-explanatory, and he was hopeful that we would join the effort. There's no commitment to go forward at our time except to, as I understand it, alert Corps to our need and desire to work with them. And that is a letter that would work to our benefit relative to stormwater and its management. So, Dick, have you joined us yet?
Mark, this is John Paul. Maybe I could fill in for him. Maybe he's having trouble with the phone connection, but yeah, all that letter, it's a form letter that was sent out to everybody. We've had several meetings in the past few months regarding the Corps. They're looking to do some type of project, very preliminary. They're looking at interest in people that would be interested in, I guess, seeing what they're looking at doing. So that's all it is. There's no commitment on the part of the township to submit this letter. It's just basically that you want to be involved and hear what's going on. So no real news as far as what's going to happen or anything. It's just being involved in the process.
A willingness to hear what they have to say and then decide later if we want to join.
That's correct.
Any questions of John Paul relative to the letter?
No.
What is the board's pleasure?
Well, there's no commitment. I think we should get involved and see what's happening.
I would agree. I would say we should keep our ears in on this one.
Is that a motion, Mr. Wareham?
Here.
Support, Mr. Janke?
Yes.
We have a motion and support to forward the letter as requested relative to the Stormwater Corps of Engineers effort Any questions, comments on the motion? Is the summary sufficient, Tracy?
Yes.
Anyone have any additional comments or questions? All in favor of approving the motion to forward the letter, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, John Paul.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, everybody.
Welcome. Has Jim joined us yet, Andy?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Mr.
am here.
Koskanimi, are you there?
Yes, I am.
The floor is yours, sir.
Okay. The first item we'll cover is the final change order for MJO. I'm assuming you didn't cover any of this yet?
Only in a very elemental way. Andy was filling in for you and giving us an overview.
Okay, so it is a final change order. MJO is completed with all the work, and the change order just basically adjusts everything to final quantities. So I'd like to have that approved first, because then their final payment includes all the final quantities. So if the change order could be approved, is there any questions on that change order?
And its number again is number 5.
Correct.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Koskanimi relative to change order number 5? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve change order number 5?
So moved, Don.
Mr. Wareham, is there support for Mr. Wareham's motion to approve change order number 5 for the Mason Sewer Project?
I'll support Tracy.
There is support from Ms. Houle. Any further discussion on the motion to approve the change order? Hearing none, I'll call for roll call vote on the change order. If it could please, Ms. Houle?
Mr. Wareham,
Yes.
Mr. Jenke,
Abstain.
Ms. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Hosola.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Motion carries. Mr. Koskanimi, next one.
Yes, certificate of substantial completion for MJO, which was in your packets as well. It's basically certifying that all the work is completed. There was a punch list of items that has all been taken care of, and their substantial completion date was on December 27th, which is within their contract time. So I'd like a formal motion for that as well, and then Mark will have to sign that form.
Do I have a motion to approve the certificate of substantial completion dated December 27th, 2020?
I'll make the motion, Krista.
Ms. Gardner, is there support?
I'll support Tracy.
Ms. Houle, supported. Is there any additional discussion on the certification of substantial completion? Hearing none. Again, a roll call vote on this.
Mr. Wareham,
Yes.
Ms. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Jenke,
Abstain.
Mr. Hosola.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Motion carries. Mr. Koskanimi.
Rural Development Draw Request number 6. And this includes, there's a resolution that'll be passed, need to be reviewed and passed. It includes UPEA Engineers invoice, and it includes MJO's payment application number 5, which is their final application for payment. So total draw request is $59,305.65. This does not close the project out with rural development, as we have the capitalized interest portion that'll pay the first year of operation and maintenance costs, and the principal and interest payments that you'll have due from rural development. So this will remain open. We will continue to have time in administering this and helping the township out. So I look for, if there's any questions, but a motion to approve that draw request number 6.
resolution that we're approving or the draw request or both?
Resolution covers everything.
Okay, so if we have a motion on the resolution, it's inclusive.
Correct.
Do I have a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
I'll make that. It's Krista.
Gardner moves. Is there support?
Wait, who are you saying moved?
Ms. Gardner,
Okay.
is there support?
I'll support it, Don.
Mr. Wareham, are there any questions on the resolution for Mr. Koskanemi? Hearing none, we'll vote. Roll call, please, on the resolution.
Mr. Wareham,
Yes.
Mr. Jenke,
Abstain.
Ms. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Hulkala.
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
motion carries.
All right.
Mr. Koskanemi, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, once all the documents are signed, if you either email them or drop them off, and then I will forward them to rural development. The next item, Mark wanted me to inform the board about was a meeting we had this week, and this has been an ongoing thing with MDOT Railroad Division. Some of our sewer lines that were township sewer lines that were put in Mason ran within the MDOT Railroad corridor, and closing this project out with them, they are making an interpretation on the permit that they want to engage in a license agreement with the township. That's not the way the language reads on their application. It reads as if the township would be exempt from this. They're reinterpreting this, their interpretation to us. We did ask the questions. I read this paragraph to them. We brought this up several months ago with them, and they are basically saying that because of the way we are interpreting it, they can understand that. They're rewriting that paragraph for future permits. So, but it doesn't do us any good because they're basically gonna come up with a lease agreement type of a fee. I'm not sure what that's gonna be. Those, whatever it is, I'd say it's a $2,000 will be put into the rural development requested for funds under their operation and maintenance for your first year. And then we also had permit fees and stuff in there as well that could be covered under, and there's plenty of money in that program yet under your program budget to cover that, whatever it comes out to. So that's the Mason part of it. As this project moved forward, the railroad did further research evidently of their own records. And they found that when the water project was put in 2003 and 2004, that there was an agreement with the township and a fee with that of, I'm not sure where the $10,000 came from, but that's the number that Mark found in a resolution way back in 2004 that the township agreed to pay. And somehow the MDOT does not have any records of that being paid, and neither does the township, and the township has no record of agreement being signed. But the agreement is out there. The DOT has an agreement, but it's not signed by the township. So in our meeting this week, it was basically decided that, you know, they're going to send the original agreement from 2004, have Mark sign it along with an invoice for the $10,000. And this is a 20-year agreement, which is up in 2022. So basically you're going to be paying the $10,000 for the last 18 years. Our last, you know, whatever, 19 years since this was done, or 16, I guess it is. But anyhow, that will expire, and they will then come out with a new agreement in 2022. So we asked a lot of questions about what to expect for that, because they're changing it now to a 5-year agreement starting in 2022. So they're supposed to give us, Mark and the township, some figures so you can properly budget in the future. That was the big thing I brought up with them, that, you know, these kind of things shouldn't come out at the end of a project. They should come out in the beginning of a project as budgeting's being done, so they can properly be budgeted into the township's budgets for water, sewer, whatever it is. I think they understood it, but they're not gonna really change their process. They're gonna change the language in it. That's about it. So, so next month, that will be presented. Mark will be presenting that because they're supposed to send that over to him. And they're supposed to give us some kind of ballpark idea here this week on what the Mason sewer cost was going to be for that agreement to be within their right of way. And it's because we're running longitudinally is what they're saying. So we provided them all the information they requested. We've spent a lot of time digging up records when they first brought this up. So I will be presenting an engineering amendment to cover the cost of this additional work that we're doing on this railroad that is unforeseen. I'll have that for your February meeting. And those costs would be eligible under the rural development funding. Any questions?
Jim, if I may add, I did receive with the board the invoice for the 10,000. The period identified is June 2002 to May 2022. Though action was taken by the township board to agree to the payment in the fall of 2003, I believe, if I'm remembering my dates correctly. We did not, however, receive the duplicate original lease agreement for our review. Yeah, it is expected this week. The invoice, the documents you've referred to, and the duplicate original for the 2002-2022 time period will be on the agenda for our meeting in February on the 10th. And the board will have it well before that date, ideally.
So, okay.
Jim, I have a couple of questions. This is Krista. On the first one you were talking about for the Mason project, the lease agreement fee, you said the first year would go into rural development. So is this going to be an annual cost that we owe?
Yeah, the agreement, according to what they said, they're changing their agreement to be a 5-year agreement. So every 5 years, it will have to be budgeted. So this, what we receive here in the next week or so from them, will be an invoice and it'll cover 5 years.
Okay, and essentially we're going to have 2 separate agreements with them?
Yes.
Okay. So you also mentioned that, are you saying that the $10,000 could come out of rural development money?
No.
Okay, so, okay, we have to come up with that separately.
Correct.
Okay. Is it, I don't know, I wasn't a part of the research, but did anybody do anything with our banking records or anything to see if we had written a check to them?
I would suggest to do that. If you didn't, I assume that was done.
I did pull our Superior National Bank records from 2000 to 2004 and went through the box and did find the time period referenced in our Resolution 74 that was our agreement to pay. I did find the check in there to the contractor, but there was no indication that the $10,000 that had been approved was ever forwarded to MDOT. I've gone through, at one level, the bank statements for about a 18 to 24 month period, one at a time, and I'm not finding anything yet that identifies that the $10,000 has been paid.
Okay. Can I take a crack at it before we assume it wasn't paid?
Oh, absolutely. I think we may need to approach Superior National Bank. All the help I can get, is very much appreciated and necessary.
Okay.
I reference to it in audits. I found reference to it in material that Tracy provided, as I alluded to earlier. And I did go through a box of bank statements that I took down from our archives in the attic in that time period. But I am not finding anything. And Jim, my understanding is that there's no record of it at UP Engineering in your archives, and MDOT is saying they don't have it either. So
That's
is
correct.
that a fair summation? Yeah.
Yes.
That doesn't mean it hasn't been paid. It's just we can't find confirmation of it being paid.
Okay. And it was a $10,000 check to MDOT is what we're looking for.
Yeah, and here's the anomaly. Part of the paperwork I was looking for, my assumption is it's a $10,000 check, but there was also discussions that took place about making it an annual payment of a fixed amount. But I'm not finding any record of annual payments either. I think it was an idea floated because the documentation on the resolution that we passed to pay the contractor $194,000 and the invoice from the spring of 2003 to MDOT, I find the documentation for the canceled check and everything for the contractor, but nothing relative to the $10,000 that we agreed to pay MDOT Rail.
Just as a quick note here too, and maybe Jim or Andy, you can, in dealing with the state, most stuff that goes to the state is made out to just state of Michigan. It's not necessarily going to say MDOT on it, unless you put it in the notes on the bottom or something like that.
That's correct.
Right.
I did find one check for $10,000, but it did not seem to have any reference to the state or to MDOT Rail. But this was just a first review. It is a labor-intensive process to go through old records. I still have files in my office that I'm just getting into, but they don't seem to reach back into this time period. So I've been up and down the attic stairs a few times.
Okay, but this is in the 2003, 2004 time range.
In the time period from lease initiation, which is the early summer of 2002, through probably 2004, the end of the 3-4 fiscal year.
Okay. I'll take a crack and start tomorrow.
Oh, please. More than happy to. And MDOT was receptive to the idea that we won't be taking formal action on any of this until our February meeting, assuming we either find something that would refute their position or a more thorough search, we don't find any confirmation of payment being made.
Krista, you may want to go a little bit into 2004 also, because that board at that time may have said, okay, we owe this 10,000, let's wait till the new budget comes out and then pay it.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
I would agree that the chances are that even that agreement may not have been completely finalized right away, and then possibly you're looking at the end of that year before you actually pay that. So I'm just saying it might go a little farther than just around, but I can't say for sure.
I'll always go.
That's an excellent point. The invoice was from March of 2003, if I recall correctly, which was the 2-3 fiscal year. Action wasn't taken until October of 2003, which is the 3-4 fiscal year. So your point is well made. And the payment could have been delayed 6 months to a year after that. But I just got through 2004 in my search, so these ideas make perfect sense. I'm hopeful that we will find something that indicates we paid the bill.
And Jim, there's nothing in the project that says that was a part of that fee being known didn't come as a part of the RD funding section at all. There's nothing there that says that, right? We didn't collect it in any kind of a payment there.
It does not appear when I looked at the 402 form. It was not listed.
I mean, it baffles me that something specific for that Mason project was going to come out of the general fund budget. I mean, that just amazes me a little bit, but that was not your project. So I know that, it just amazes me a little, that's all.
if I may add one more thing, we can't find an executed rental agreement or lease agreement either, one that's been signed. We have the agreements, but there are no signatures on them. And I got that from staff at UP Engineering from their archives.
I know we looked through it, so I know that that's out there, and I know what I said to Jim is kind of something I already kind of know, I think. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we may have been waiting to get signatures before we actually paid it, especially if it's coming. If it had to come out of our general our water general budget there instead of out of the project budget, which I'm still struggling with.
Well, we'll continue the search, and thanks for all the help. Jim, anything else?
I have nothing else.
Any other questions, comments for Jim?
No.
Were there any?
No.
None, Jim, thank you very much. Appreciate the update. Tracy, I think one of the documents requires your signature as well. If you would
Sign
kindly
mine.
leave the documents on the table there, I'd appreciate it. I'll come in and sign them in the morning.
Yep, I did. I signed mine and your two are sitting here.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.
Anything else from UP Engineering?
Nothing.
Thank you. Moving on, next item under unfinished business is the Houghton County Recreational Authority membership. It is currently tabled. I know that they are interested in getting as much participation as possible in this new authority focused on recreation, and it has been at least implied in conversations I've had with people at the courthouse, including our county manager, is that this would be beneficial from the standpoint of the snowmobile trail activities, the enhancements or repairs that are suggested, to be engaged in this process with all of our colleagues across the county, paraphrasing what he said. Currently it's tabled. It's still an opportunity to join at any time. But I think action on this item, either tonight or in the very near future, would be appreciated by our colleagues in the county and at the county level. What's the board's pleasure?
I think, I mean, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want to be a part of this. So I think we should join. I mean, it benefits, and like you mentioned, the snowmobile trail goes, directly through Osceola Township. So I think we should join.
The only reservation I have is, I'm just hoping there's no hidden cost in this. That 3-4 months from now, all of a sudden they're looking for money from us to help out, and it's like, right now we're kind of tight. I have no problem joining it at all. I just worry about any kind of money commitment. And I didn't really read anything in there that there was any money commitment.
Yeah, I didn't either. I read it pretty carefully. I didn't notice anything either.
So I have no problem, taking it off and going with it, but just in the back of our minds, we're a little worried if there's money involved here that we don't really have.
It is the board's pleasure to take action on this item tonight. We would have to have a motion to take it off the table.
I will move to take it off the table.
Mr. Ware moves that we take the Houghton County Recreational Authority membership resolution off the table. Is there support for the motion?
I'll support Krista.
Ms. Gardner supports. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to take the Houghton County Recreational Authority membership off the table, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now have on the table the Houghton County Recreational Authority membership for board consideration. What is the board's pleasure relative to joining the recreational authority?
I'll make a motion to, for Osceola Township to join as a member of the Houghton County Recreational Authority.
Motion from Ms. Gardner to join the Houghton County Recreational Authority. Is there support?
I'll support it, Don.
Mr. Wareham supports. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, and because resources are not a part of this, I'll call for a straight up yes or no. All in favor of the motion to join the Houghton County Recreational Authority, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We will sign in the appropriate place and forward the document within a few working days. Thank you. Next item under unfinished business are budget amendments. I will simply restate what I mentioned previously and at the water board meeting. Our amendments are under development. You can see that we have a great many issues that will require exploration and discussion when we gather again in February, but it is my hope to have draft budgets for your consideration well before our February 10th meeting. I apologize for the delay, but with other things taking precedent in the near term, I have not been able to devote the time to it that I thought I would have available, and for that, I apologize. So, February meeting, if that's acceptable to everyone.
Sure.
Yes.
Krista, you had something on COVID-19 and CARES funding or something you wanted to mention, if I recall correctly?
Oh, yeah. We normally in August, we get some revenue sharing payment, and they didn't issue that this year, but instead they rolled out a CARES Act grant. So we ended up getting, it's only like a $400 payment we normally get, but we got $650 total, and it was due to COVID-19 and any related expenses. So all of that reporting had to be completed by the end of December, which was all taken care of. And so that was something I was going to mention earlier with the financials. I mean, it's only $650, but the way we designated some of it is going to have to be changed to reflect that it came directly from that grant versus, you know, out of whatever category we took it out of. But that's all taken care of now.
Any questions of Krista? Hearing none, thank you very much. One last item under budget amendments. If I may, I'm going to wedge in new budgets. I'll be meeting with Mr. Sira in the very near future relative to his position, relative to the Mason sewer system. We're looking at having a budget available for the sewer system for the balance of this fiscal year at our February meeting, looking at a possible source of revenue inside our budget to provide, in essence, seed money to pay modest costs and then get reimbursed under the project through UPEA engineering. That will be outlined in the draft budget you will see at our February meeting, but the Mason sewer will have a budget available for your review for the balance of this fiscal year in February. Does anyone have any questions on that? Thank you. New business. First item under new business is Houghton County's designated assessor. Again, Krista, you had some additional information on this, if I may call on you.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys had a chance to go through this, but Mark had a discussion with a couple people in equalization, and the reason that they are creating this is so that in the event that there's trouble with the AMAR, which we're not in that position at this moment, but we've been there, so it's understandable that it can happen. Instead of the state seizing your rolls and then, you know, we would get the bill from the state, the county is asking all of the entities to band together so that we would have somebody on the county level that could step in and assist if we find ourselves in the position of, you know, whatever the case may be. You don't pass your AMR or something along those lines. So that's basically the understanding we're getting for this. The other understanding that I think Mark got cleared up today was that they were asking for a majority of townships because they needed to let the state know that they were going forward with this. However, I believe that whether we agreed to be added to it or not, if in the event that this happened, which it did, I believe more than the majority of townships have agreed to this, we all would owe a portion of money to secure the assessor. So, but I mean, it's for good reason, and I don't think we'll ever need them, but in the event that we did, that would be why.
So wait, now they're gonna, maybe I heard that wrong, but you're saying that they, now that it went forward and ahead, regardless of whether we agree with it or not, we have to participate in the costs?
That was the understanding Mark got. I won't speak for you, Mark. You can.
It was an impression that I came away with, but I don't know that it's entirely accurate because there is a statement in the proposed agreement that I found after the conversation. So the misinterpretation may have been on my part, but it says the assessing districts that include the townships and participating municipalities shall each be responsible for an equal share of an annual retainer fee of $1,500. When you add it up, I think there's over 15 governmental units that would be participating fully in all of this. They have, I think, 9 or 10 already on board. If we join, ours would be in essence 1/10 or 1/11 of the retainer fee. That would be the only cost associated with joining for a year to ideally save resources down the road. My understanding of the position, it is between our township assessor, Earhart, and her firm, and the state that would mitigate or significantly reduce costs of having to bring someone up from the state to resolve disputes that would arise out of, if you will, taxes on property at all. So the more I read it, it sounded and looked like a good deal, and many of our colleagues have already joined. Everyone that joins reduces the cost to the participating members. So the outlay for us in the coming fiscal year would be less than $100 if everybody joins, slightly more if it's 11 or 12, because there is a $1,500 annual retainer. When I first read that, I thought that was from each assessing district. I got clarification on that. That's the total, and then the number of participants pay their share, an equal share of the $1,500. So I hope that helps a little bit. The deadline for submission of this, you may recall me bringing it up and passing at our meetings last month, but we got this late. I've talked with some of you, and we couldn't meet the deadline for submission, which was the end of last month. I'm assuming that if we take affirmative action on this, say this evening, we would be able to sign off on the documents, and then the county would petition the state to let us into the consortium of units of government locally participating with the designated assessor if it's ever needed. Does that help? I hope.
So if there is a need of that, the member that needs it pays all the bills?
If it's needed, then there is a rate structure that would apply to parcels, etc., that would require work on it. There is an agreement we would enter into to be part of the consortium, in essence.
And this is an agreement with our already current assessor?
No, actually, this is over and above our assessor. This is if there are say, issues that are not resolved by our assessor, but would go to the state, as I understand it, Krista. This would be a interim level at the county level to hold costs in line on that state level appeal by addressing it locally. I hope I'm using the right terminology.
That's not quite what I'm asking. I'm asking the assessor that we would be paying the retainer to is the same assessor that we currently have.
No, that's incorrect. The county has already identified an assessor. Your assumption is understandable, but there's already a designated assessor identified by the county.
And
that took place at a recent county board meeting.
And it's not the one we have. Is that what you're saying?
The board approved Tom Novascone as the county's designated assessor. This is back in mid-December after our December meeting.
And that's with a different firm.
That's with this individual on behalf of the consortium in the county.
Okay, but it is with a different, it's not the same firm then. It's not, I'm not talking just the person, I'm talking the firm and the.
I don't believe that this person is affiliated with Laura Earhart's firm.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, okay. But what you're saying though, as far as the rate structure goes, I'm not saying if we need it. I'm saying is if like for instance, I'll just pick let's just say Schoolcraft needs it. You know, they pay all the fees associated with any parcels within their that have to be within their boundaries, right? Any fee that's within their boundary goes to them. It doesn't go to the whole group.
No, that's an excellent question. Let me read directly from the proposed agreement. The county designated assessor may charge an assessing district, that's what the individual members are called, that is required to contract with the county designated assessor at a reasonable rate of compensation and reimbursement of cost. So if we have an issue, the cost would be borne by us. If another township or community has an issue, we don't pay any of that. We only pay at the outset for the retainer of $1,500, our share. If there's 15 members and it's $1,500, we would pay $100 annually.
Fair enough.
For this availability. And then other costs would be incurred if we ever had to use the service.
Under those circumstances, it sounds like a good insurance program to me.
Agreed.
Krista, would it help address needs from your perspective? Conceivably.
For what?
Well, is it something that, as treasurer, that we would benefit from relative to property at all, that issues can't be resolved at Laura's level, but they're not going to the state, they would go here instead? You see that as advantageous?
Oh, definitely. I mean, when we were going through issues with our AMAR, several years back, conceivably you would end up having, the state would pick a firm, probably from downstate. We would be responsible for paying the firm, paying for their travel, their hotel, their food, all of their expenses during the time that they would be, here, let's say, trying to make any corrections to make us AMAR compliant. So if we have somebody in Houghton County, I don't anticipate that we would ever need this, but I mean, I don't think the anticipation was there when we did need it initially. So definitely, I mean, it would save money for sure.
So as Aaron described it, an insurance policy may be an apt description.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So one more question here. So what I'm getting from this is, are we saying this doesn't have anything? There's nothing with the board of review here. Then right now, I mean, if there's a problem with an assessment right now, you'd go to the board of review, and then if that doesn't work, then you go to the state. This is not an interim. There's not another stage here, right? That's not what we're saying.
So in my reading of the proposed agreement and the job description, it does not have anything to do really with the activities and functions of the board of review. That's on a separate track.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that there's no involvement there also. So yeah. Okay.
What's the board's pleasure? Do we move forward with this? Do we let them know that we're interested? We'll make a decision in February to give people ample time to review it in greater detail? What's the board's pleasure?
I think I'm good with it. If everybody else is, I don't know.
Let's move forward with it.
Is there a motion to move forward, entering into an agreement then with our fellow townships, a Houghton County interlocal agreement for county designated assessor?
I'll make that motion. It's Tracy.
Ms. Hool makes the motion that we enter into the interlocal agreement for county designated assessor. Is there a second to the motion?
I'm supporting. This is Aaron.
Mr. Janke supports. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, and because it requires an initial expenditure as a new member, should we approve, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Wareham.
Yes.
Mr. Jenke.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Mr. Hokola.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Motion carries unanimously. The documentation will be executed and will be available for review by all members and the community. I will be calling the Equalization Department in the very near future to give them the heads up as to our decision and make sure that we're still in a position to become part of this interlocal agreement on this date. Thank you. Next item under new business is Board of Review, and we've discussed the issues on the agenda relative to Mr. Torrey's resignation and the posting of the vacancy. Again, applicants will have until the 27th of this month to submit correspondence of their desire to join the Board of Review. Douglas Houghton Falls, in your packet is a letter, in essence, requesting a letter of support for enhancements at Douglas Houghton Falls. Looking for assistant state designation. Has everyone had a chance to look at that correspondence?
Yes.
Yes, and I make a motion, we go ahead and support that, Mark. There's no money commitment or nothing, it's just backing it. So, and I think it's a great idea if I need to utilize that.
We have a motion from Mr. Wareham to use the draft to prepare a letter of support for the Douglas Houghton Falls initiative. Is there a support for the motion?
I'll support. It's Krista.
Ms. Gardner, any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll get that letter out quickly. Last item that I have under new business on the agenda is the FY 21-22 budget process schedule. I've reviewed last year's schedule for our upcoming fiscal year budget, and we did almost all of our work in the month of March. If that is acceptable to the board, we will have a tentative schedule set for our next meeting, and in February, you'll be presented with the opportunity to approve or amend amended budgets and then approve, and you will have the proposed schedule for preparation of the 21-22 budget available for your review and acceptance. Hard to believe we're heading into another fiscal year, and it's less than 3 months away. Does anybody else have anything relative to the board meeting that we may have overlooked or you wish to have additional information on prior to calling one more time for public comment? Hearing none, we'll provide a second opportunity for public comment before we adjourn. Is anyone participating with our meeting this evening interested in offering comment for board consideration?
Hello, this is Horst Schmidt. I'd like to ask 3 questions and make 1 comment.
You have 3 minutes, Horst.
Okay, what's the $10,000 easement? Is that part of the what do you call it? The Mason sewer deal?
No, it has to do with the water line that runs from Dollar Bay Woodside to Mason, carrying portable water to the residents of Mason. It was put in about 17, 18 years ago. And we used the railroad grade between Dollar Bay and Mason as the land for the line, and we have a rental agreement that should have been, or perhaps already has been executed, with a $500 annual lease or rental cost from MDOT to use their right-of-way. $10,000 for 20 years. That's the $10,000 previously referenced.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank you for the endorsing the Houghton Keweenaw Trail Association. I think it's a great idea that we support it. The assessor question that you just finished up with is, as I understand it, this is to keep the cost down for the municipalities, rather than bringing up an assessor from downstate. Has this anything to do with the tax tribunal?
Does anyone have an answer? I can't really answer that question. I don't have enough information in front of me, but I can explore that question and get an answer to you.
Mark, no, it would not have anything to do with the tax tribunal. It's a completely separate thing. The what's in place now, how you go to the board of review, and if you're denied, and the capability to then take it to the state tax tribunal remains. That's a completely separate thing. This is for in an instance where annually we have something called the AMAR that we have to pass, and the assessor is responsible for making sure that we've completed everything on that. And in the event that you don't, then the state then gives you a certain amount of time to comply. And if you don't meet those timelines, they can then seize the township's tax rolls and step in and bring it to compliance themselves. By us securing someone with the other townships through the county, then instead of the state having to step in and assess rolls before it even got to that point, the person in the county would then come in and be able to help any corrective action necessary to get that AMAR report up to compliance.
Okay, all right, well, thank you for that.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.
Yeah. One other question. During one of the discussions, there was mention about money being tight for the township. What does that mean in terms of expenditures exceeding or cutbacks by the state on revenue sharing?
Don, do you want to give your perspective since you raised the point earlier, and I can offer a comment or two if you'd like.
Well, it's, there's some unforeseeable expenses we had. The biggest thing is we're not sure of the state appropriations that we normally got. I know that's been cut quite a bit. And we're not sure what's happening next year. So that's all I was doing, is being a little cautious, that's all.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you then.
Thanks, Don. Is there additional information you'd like on that point, Horst?
No, it's fine. I mean, I'm just, I'm not in on the discussions that you have or the familiarity with the subject, so I just needed some clarification.
Thank you very much for the question. Please note that during the budget process, there are public hearings, and people will have access to our meetings on a regular basis, plus the public hearing. So it's an inclusive process. Horst, did you have anything else?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Anyone else that would like to address the board before I call for a motion to adjourn? Hearing none, thank you for your participation this evening. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the township board meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Wareham moved with help from Mr. Jenke. Is that a support, Mr. Jenke?
Yes.
We have a motion and support for adjournment. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Daddy.
Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.
Right.
Tracy,